We are live. Welcome to everybody. As we have spoken in several times, today a special guest from UK, directly from the RADIX ecosystem. With us today, Adam Simmons, Chief Strategy Officer of RADIX, works together with Marco Michelino, RADIX validator. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I will do my best in order to interact with you. Sorry for my poor English, but the Italian community at the moment...
Your English is better than my Italian, so don't apologize.
Thanks a lot, Adam. The goal of this live interview with you is understanding the next upgrade of the RADIX blockchain, which will be the impact for the entire environment, and above all, why RADIX could be a undervalued blockchain at the moment in consideration of these specific features. In order to help all the community to understand all these details, we have prepared a slideshow with the main issue to discuss. As you can see, the first one is concerning Babylon upgrade. But first of all, Adam, I ask you courtesy, tell us the main role of you inside RDX works, and which is the partnership with RADIX ecosystem.
Yeah, so my role as Chief Strategy Officer is I manage all of our marketing, developer ecosystem, and strategic projects within the company. And so RDX Works is the core developer behind the RADIX network. So it's the company that Dan Hughes founded many, many years ago now in order to bring this technology and this vision to market. In relation to how RDX Works fits into the wider RADIX ecosystem. So we're the development company and we do a lot of the marketing on behalf of the RADIX Foundation.
Thanks a lot. So in order to summarize for the Italian audience with few words, RDX Works is the core developer team for RADIX ecosystem. Said this, I want to introduce the first main topics for today, which is, as you can see, questions or an issue related to the Babylon upgrade. Just reading. Let's try to explain what RADIX is to those who don't know it yet, and above all, what the consequences of the imminent upgrade called Babylon will be.
So RADIX, at a very high level, RADIX is a smart contract platform similar to something like Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche, as an example. So both developers can deploy smart contracts onto the RADIX platform using our own programming language and execution environment, and users can then come and use those. Now, RADIX today, the core network has been live for just over 2 years now. It has done over 2 million transactions with 100% uptime with a completely permissionless validator set using proof of stake to do that. Now, what you can't do currently on the network is actually launch a smart contract or interact with a decentralized application. And that's what's coming with the Babylon upgrade. So with the Babylon upgrade, we are upgrading the RADIX mainnet to have decentralized applications that our developer ecosystem can deploy on there, and that users through our new RADIX wallet mobile experience are able to go and interact with. And those two things are really complete what we call the RADIX full stack of technology that we believe is needed to make the much better user and developer experience that is really needed for DeFi and Web3 to be used by our friends and our family and by millions of people around the world.
But for instance, I have discovered and known enough about RADIX ecosystem exactly 1 year ago, thanks to Marco and also many other RADIX Italian supporters. And I have understood that one of the main pillar of this ecosystem and this blockchain is its own coding language, which is called Scripto or Scripto. I don't know. Which
Scripto.
is Scripto. What can we add to this description, or else Scripto? I know, for instance, the main differences between Solidity and Rust, which are at the moment one of the two coding language mostly used inside crypto space. Scripto, which are the main features of Scripto in relationship with, for instance, these two coding languages?
So Scripto is based on Rust. So if you are familiar with Rust, you would very intuitively be able to start using Scripto. The big addition of Scripto compared to just based Rust is that it incorporates assets as a native function of the language. So by assets, the actual logic of how assets move around is defined by the RADIX engine and are finite state machines. Now, what this means is that you don't need things like ERC20 standards for everyone to agree on to define what an asset is. It's built into the network itself. So an example or a good analogy of how you can think of this is if you think how video games are made. In the early 90s, the first thing you had to do when you wanted to make a video game was program the physics engine, the light engine, and you couldn't actually make gameplay. And that was really, really hard to do and had to be done for every game. Then game engines like Unreal or Unity came along and made many of those features that every game needed, things that could be controlled by the engine, but adjusted or added to by a developer. And that made so developers could spend a lot more time building gameplay features. Now, Scripto and RADIX engine are kind of like a game engine, but for Web3. So they don't restrict what you can do, but they have a lot of the things that you need already within there controlled by the engine. So defining a token, for example, isn't an ERC20 standard. It's a couple of lines of code saying, oh, it's fungible or non-fungible. This is the supply. Is it soulbound? These are all parameters that can be adjusted or added to by a developer, but that's controlled and understood by the RADIX engine. Whereas on something like Solidity and the Ethereum virtual machine, that isn't automatically in there, which is what causes a lot of the exploits and hacks that we've seen.
I see.
RADIX is a DFT built from scratch to address all of the issues that are common in cryptos today. Crypto is one of the pieces of this puzzle. Okay. They are all linked together. They work together to provide the best user experience in crypto and the best programming experience in crypto.
I see. It's more or less something like a cadence for another rising blockchain flow, or every ecosystem has developed a own coding language in order to help developer, but not only professional developer, but also beginner developer. So this way, I have understand the main.
Yes, my 11 years old son is studying Scripto. Everybody in the RADIX community is playing with Scripto. Everybody's in love with Scripto.
Well, going ahead, number two, issue or topic number two. In the near future, numerous blockchains will coexist and compete with each other. In which sector RADIX is trying to be a leader or else, what are the main competitive advantages of RADIX over other blockchains? Adam.
So that's a really good question. The first thing I'd say is that we're definitely going to have multiple blockchains and DLTs existing for a while. You will see that in any kind of platform business. That's always happened. You have someone revolutionize it like Ethereum did, then you have many others come along who refine that model. And then later down, you have consolidation or smaller numbers as leaders come out. And so the phase we're currently in is seeing many come across, and there needs to be interoperability between them. And so the way RADIX tackles that is with partnerships like the one we recently announced with Layer 0. So Layer 0 provides the ability to message and send assets across different chains that they're integrated with. So that's one of the way we deal with that. But ultimately, our goal is to be the main chain, especially for things like decentralized finance or DeFi, that we have spent 10 years really building a solution that is not only good for developers, it is not only good for scalability, and it's not only good for the great user experience. It's all of those things together. And that's really the unique point of RADIX, is while there's many things that we do, in our opinion, better than what currently exists, it's the fact that it's not just one or two things. It's many things that altogether are much more impactful than just a couple of them individually.
Yes, I see RADIX is not going to compete with Ethereum or other blockchains. RADIX is going to address to those people who are not yet in cryptos, make a programming language, a wallet, a user experience that is easier, that everybody can use.
So Marco, to give them the best user experience in order to start coding or creating digital applications, something like that?
Yes.
More or less. And Adam, considering that there is at the moment this hard competition between many layer one, do you think that in the next future some of them could could experience extinctions?
Definitely there. I think that's quite likely. I don't think it's a near-term thing. So what I'd say is, while there's a lot, it feels like there's a lot of competition, there actually isn't, because so few people are actually using Web3 and crypto today. So if you look at DeFi, it is 0.05% of the assets in the global economy. So the area to grow isn't from taking users from Ethereum or from Solana to grow RADIX. There's over 99% of people who aren't using any DLT yet, who we need to grow first. Now, when that expands, you do see this decrease. So the number of different competitors decrease, because naturally the network effects of these platforms, any platform business, mean that you tend to get a few leading competitors. If you think of social media, for example, I remember in the early days of social media, I'm that old, that there were many. Like, everyone had their own web page. Then it was people had like their MySpace pages or whatever. Nowadays, you have like Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, and there's a couple, but you're not really using many of them. Whereas if you go back 10, 15 years, there were many different platforms, but all doing different things, like Vine compared to TikTok, for example. Yeah. So I think at first we will see many more. As we're seeing now with things like RADIX and SWI and Aptos, etc. And then over the next few years, we will see which ones are winning out of those based on what they're offering to the market. And then there will be less and some will disappear over time. And we've seen that already. There's, I won't name them, but if you go back to, say, the 2017 era, there were some other layer ones that launched around that time. Some raised literally billions of dollars in ICOs that you don't hear about nowadays, because their offering wasn't the right solution to the right problems.
Oh, awesome. I have let me ask you further this new this issue. in relationship to the competition inside blockchains. In your opinion, for your professional skills, which of these four triggers can be the main troubles for the existence of blockchain in the future? First one, user experience. Second one, gas fee. Third, composability. Fourth, transaction speed. I repeat for you. First one,
Yep.
User experience. Second, gas fee. Third, composability. Fourth, transaction speed.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say if the problem for adoption will be not solving all of those. And that's really the approach we took with RADIX, because the example I like giving is electric cars. So
See?
I don't know if you remember, but for decades now, people have been like, let's have electric cars. But the thing was, they would be like, oh, it's an electric car, and they were tiny, and they only had 2 seats, and they were uncomfortable and could only go 20 miles. And they're like, oh, but it doesn't use petrol. Sure, it didn't use petrol, but it was worse in so many ways than a normal car. So no one wanted to buy them. It didn't matter that they were better in one way. It wasn't until really Tesla came along and made it at least as good as a current car and incredibly better in many ways that people actually started wanting electric cars and they became desirable. And blockchains are the same. We're not going to convince people to come and move all of their assets into crypto when the user experience is something like MetaMask, where they could lose all their money if they lose their seed phrase. We're not going to get someone to pay in a shop with crypto if it takes a long time for the transaction speed, or buying a €5 suite costs them €20 in transaction fees. And it doesn't matter if just one of these things are fixed. All of them need to be fixed. And that is what RADIX is doing.
I see. Marco, do you want to add something more?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Going ahead, number 3, third topic. The pillars of Web3 will be NFTs and user-friendly wallets. Exactly what you have already said. What are RADIX beliefs on these issues, and what is it developing to be competitive in the next years, or just considering the end of 2023?
So to start with things like NFTs, with Scripto and the RADIX engine, it makes deploying and building applications or creating NFT collections so much easier. So if, for example, Eugenio, if you scroll up where you're looking at now, to the top of the page.
The top of the page, see?
Yep. And then in the bottom right of the screen there, where it says the full stack for DeFi, if you click that. So as that's loading, I'll explain. So the launching NFTs, creating NFT marketplaces, or anything like that is very easy for a developer. But the other piece is the user experience. So what's coming with Babylon at the end of July this year is the new RADIX wallet. So Eugenio, if you scroll down a little bit, you will see a picture of what the new RADIX wallet looks like. And so that screen, for example, that screen is what it actually will look like on RADIX after July 31st to sign a transaction. It clearly shows you as a user what assets, that could be your tokens, your NFTs, are going out of your account and which ones you expect to come back. It's not just a string of letters and numbers that you have to approve in MetaMask. You can actually see, and this gives users confidence to actually use things like NFTs or use DeFi, but also we empower developers to be able to build incredibly intuitive and secure decentralized applications and assets like NFTs to be able to get users to come and use these networks.
Yes, there are many weak points we see still today in NFTs on other chains. I see NFT creators that are struggling to implement a royalty system, for example, to be paid when NFTs pass from one user to another. There are Also, security issues. When you buy an FT, everybody say don't use same wallet you keep your coins in. Use a different wallet. Can you imagine Apple saying you don't use the same phone to call everybody? You must have a phone for your friends, for other people, for okay.
Going going ahead, number 4, main topic. How many developers, full developers or part-time developers there are on RADIX, and which are, and this is a topic for us as Italian, which are the countries where RADIX is mostly present. To give you more details, I want to go to this website called Developer Report, which generally aggregate a lot of infos to all the main blockchain in the world, making comparison between the growth rate of developer inside the chain between another one. At the moment, if we consider good these features, these figures, we can see 14 full-time developers in RADIX ecosystem up to the beginning of April. First of all, Adam, do you think that these figures are really credible, or else you can add something more?
I would say that they are relatively, they're very credible figures for what they're showing. So what Electric Capital are very good at what they do. And what this site does is it looks at GitHub repos and tracks commits and activity on them to try and calculate whether there's full-time developers, part-time developers, etc. Now, at the moment, what you're showing here is just the public GitHub repos for the main RADIX software. So it's not looking, Electric Capital at the moment don't know how to look for all the crypto developers. So this isn't counted in that number. This is only counting essentially developers from RDX Works who are working.
Adam, the microphone.
Is that better for you?
Okay, right. Now is good.
Perfect. The other problem is that this is only RDX Works developers shown here. And what's challenging is with the Babylon release.
Once again.
Is that working for you?
Now is it? Yes. Go on. Yes, now we can see, we can hear you.
Now works fine.
Perfect. So a lot of the development being done by RDX Works ahead of Babylon is currently on private repos that Electric Capital can't see. But after Babylon, those will be made public.
Once Babylon will become public, and at the moment it seems to be the end of July, so more or less 2 months ahead, and this could be the reason why we see a huge increase in developers, and also reports could be a reasonable lecture.
Yes, and also this doesn't even show everyone who's building in the community. So we know that there's over 50 projects publicly announced to be going live on Babylon. There's been over 12,000 unique clones of the Scripto GitHub repo by developers in the last year, and that number's all going up. So we're working with Electric Capital for when Babylon is live, so they can start tracking that as well.
And let me ask you, because the heart of RADIX ecosystem is in UK, also the headquarter, UK, right?
Yeah, so there's the RDX Works is UK. The RADIX Foundation is in Jersey, in the Channel Islands, but the RDX Works team is fully remote. So we have about 80 people in many different countries all over the world.
And can we imagine which countries could be? For instance, India, USA.
The majority of both, so both the people in RDX Works, but also people in the RADIX builder community, predominantly are Europe and the Americas.
It's in any case a European project.
I would say predominantly European, yes.
Not many developers from Southeast or from other continents. Because,
RDX,
for instance, if we make this comparison with other blockchain, we can find a lot of developers from India, from Vietnam, from Mexico, and generally Europe is forgotten. It seems that in Europe there is not a great number of core developer. Generally.
Yeah, and so we, as I say, RADIX, both for RDX Works and also the community, is global. It's European heavy, with obviously the Americas and also Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia. There are developers there. And I think one of the reasons why we see, especially in other blockchains, there being less activity in Europe is because there's a lot of activity in Europe development around fintech. And one of the things when we were building RADIX, we spoke to nearly 1,000 developers before we built Scripto, in crypto and also in places like fintech. And what we heard from many of those was that they looked at crypto before and realized that they couldn't build secure applications the way they would want to, so they wouldn't move from somewhere like fintech into crypto because they didn't have the right tools. And so that's one of the things RADIX has been built for, is to enable these brilliant developers who work in fintech and other industries an easy path to come and build the things they want to build in crypto without having to worry as much about losing user funds or the user experience or how they actually go and build things.
Okay, I'm in the RADIX developers Telegram group. There are about 1,800 people from all over the world. The community, RADIX community, is very widespread in the world. There are lots of people in Brazil and Turkish, very strong community.
And Marco, more or less at the moment in Italy, how much could be the RADIX supporter?
We have a few in Italy. Yes.
50 person?
About 200 people, I guess.
200. Well, we are near to close to end the live interview. Fifth issue or fifth topic. What are the main innovative projects developed with RADIX? For instance, DEX, NFT marketplace, or DeFi platform, or else best case, prestigious use case?
So the main use case is DeFi. And we've already seen some incredible projects announce that they're building on RADIX, and also have been involved in our fast grants program, for example. So our first grants cohort, we had 2 DEXs, a NFT marketplace, a domain name service. Marco there with the Aussie Swap t-shirt. Then we also had Hermes protocol, which is a messaging protocol, and there's many more. So there's many DEXs, there's prediction markets, there's lending applications, there's all things that you'd expect to see in there. And there is too many for me to name here. So as I said, with Babylon, on radixecosystem.com, there's a list of all the public projects already. And there's over 50 on there already. Across a range of different categories. And I know from the work I do that there's many more projects that haven't publicly announced yet. So it's a really exciting time. And this is still before smart contracts are even live on RADIX. So the next few months and the next year is going to be really exciting, because when an ecosystem goes live on a layer one, there is a lot of very exciting growth very, very quickly. So we're looking forward to seeing many of these projects go live.
Well, let me speak about another project I like very much. It's Delphi Bets. It's a German project. It's a prediction market. It is going to implement peer-to-peer betting, pari mutuel, and also automated market maker for bets on coins price.
I see. Yeah, so Adam, just to let all the community with suspense, we can say that thanks to Babylon, probably for a beginners, launch a NFT collection will be really easy, will be for all crypto enthusiastic, or else in other chain to launch an NFT collection. It's enough hard. You need a minimal requirement of coding or the ability to use some device or some protocols in order to generate the collection. With Babylon, we can create this suspense for Italian community. Will be really a great experience for beginners in order to launch an NFT collection.
It would be very easy and intuitive for beginners, but also for people building complicated things. So, for example, one of the grants projects that we finished recently was Photon, and they're an NFT marketplace doing some really incredible things as well. But it's not just for developers; it is also for users who want to go and own those NFT collections or trade them. They can do that so much easier with the RADIX wallet. So to use an example Marco gave earlier of, having a different wallet for each NFT so you don't lose them. On RADIX, even if you did try and interact with a malicious signature request, you could clearly see that it's like, it will send all of your NFTs out of your wallet and you will get none back. Well, of course, you wouldn't sign that. You could just see it. And if you want to send one and get some tokens back or a different NFT back, you could see that in the wallet before you hit approve. And these are the sort of things that is why we believe that RADIX has a much better user experience, a much better developer experience, and is built on a scalable network that can actually meet the needs of people all over the world coming to use Web3 confidently and securely.
Awesome. Awesome, really awesome. Marco, do you want to add something more, or we can go to close the live interview?
It's okay.
It's okay. So, Adam, I ask you, courtesy, if you can remember to all of us your main social profiles in order to give them the opportunity to follow you, your update, and also if there will be live events or release or press release by your team.
Yeah, so you can follow RADIX on @RADIXDLT on Twitter. If you want to follow me, it's @Adam_XRD, which is the token ticker. For things coming up, obviously Babylon at the end of July is going to be very exciting. I can't give away any news that we may be announcing ahead of time, but definitely keep an eye on our different channels, both before Babylon and after, because there's lots of exciting stuff around the corner. And anytime an ecosystem goes live on a layer one, it's a very exciting time to see what developers build and what users end up getting to play with.
Great. I think we can close the this live interview. Adam, thanks a lot for your courtesy and for your clarity. I hope we can have also the opportunity to meet in real life during 2023. All links will be listed below on the video description. By me, by my community, and also by all Italian RADIX community, all the best for the launch of Babylon. Keep building on RADIX. Everything else is noise, is a noise. See you next time. RADIX to the moon. Thanks a lot. Goodbye, everyone. Ciao.
Thank
Grazie.
you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.